25 years ago, sitting in a chapel service, God spoke something to me that has shaped the course of my life and my ministry from that day on. And in just a few days, all of that's going to come to a culmination as we open the doors on the Dream Life and Ministry Cohort. And what I want to do today is I want to tell you what he told me. I want to share with you the moment that he spoke to me. I want to share with you what has happened in these last 25 years and what's coming in the next few days. So let's get started. So the big question is this: how do pastors like us who remain focused on the mission of Jesus and serving our communities without being distracted by everything in the world around us, how do we increase our effectiveness while living a lifestyle that doesn't compromise our health, our families, or our personal relationships with Jesus? That's the question this podcast is going to answer. I'm Dr. Brandon Party Cooper, and welcome to the Ministry Hackers Podcast. Welcome to this episode of the Ministry Hackers Podcast. I hope you're doing absolutely wonderful. I hope you are having a good day wherever it is and whatever it is you're doing as you are listening or watching this episode. I am doing wonderfully. I played basketball this morning. I have a group of guys that we get together at 6 o'clock in the morning and we play basketball. And they beat me up for a good hour, and they run me ragged, and I'm all hot and sweaty, and I feel like a train ran me over, and it's so much fun. I love it. It's one of the highlights of my week, and so that was this morning, and so did that, enjoyed some breakfast with my boys, and now I'm spending some time with you. And so for me, it's been a good day, and I hope it's a good day for you. I hope you are doing awesome. As I mentioned, in a few days, we are going to be opening up the doors for the Dream Life and Ministry Cohort. I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited about the opportunity that it's going to be for you and for pastors all over the country, and as well as for me to get to spend some time to teach you and show you and be a part of the learning process of how we are going to create margin in our time, margin in our finances, grow our churches, grow our ministries, and spend time with the people we love, doing the things we love to do, and fulfilling all that God has called us to do. And so I'm super excited about that. And I want to invite you to go to brandonpartycooper.com/free getaway. And the reason is because when you go there, you're going to have the opportunity to receive a list of 10 getaways all over the country, people in different places around the country who have said, hey, I believe in pastors. I believe in what they do, and I want to bless them. These are 10 places where people have opened up their ranches, they've opened up their homes, they've opened up their bed and breakfast, whatever property that they have, they've opened it up and they said, I want to bless pastors with free getaways. And some of them go up to 14 days. And so if you go to brandonpartycooper.com/free getaway, get the list. And what that'll do is you will have the list of 10 places you can go, but it'll also give you front row seat to find out when the Dream Life and Ministry Cohort opens. You can be one of the first ones to sign up and be a part of it. There are limited seats. There are only so many seats available. And so I want to make sure that those on the list get the first crack at it. And so I want to encourage you, go to brandonpartycooper.com/free getaway, sign up, get your list of 10 free getaways. At the same time, be at the front of the line when the doors open for the Dream Life and Ministry Cohort in just a few days. All right. Again, brandonpartycooper.com/free getaway. Get your list, be on the list, find out when the doors open, and join the cohort right away. All right. So as I mentioned, this is a culmination. The next few days as we open up the Dream Life and Ministry Cohort, this will be a culmination of 25 years of God speaking to me, guiding me, shaping me, correcting me, challenging me, and getting me to the point where we are ready to open the doors to this cohort. So let me backtrack a little bit and tell you the story of how it all happened. I was a freshman in Bible college. I was in my first week at Bible college. I didn't belong there. I had gone to college for a year. I was studying to be a history teacher and a football coach because that was my world. I'd grown up playing sports my whole life. I had to find something to teach in order to be a coach. And I decided that math was just not exciting enough for me to teach for my whole life. And so I chose history to be a social studies or a history teacher. And so I majored in history, minored in physical education so that I could be a history teacher and a football coach. Towards the end of my freshman year at Iowa State University, God clearly called me to Bible college, said, wanted me to go to Bible college, wanted me to go into ministry. And so I did. In the first week, I remember sitting there and I remember looking around. There were about 150 students, freshman students in the chapel. And many of them were highly talented, gifted. They'd come from ministry backgrounds. They had come from ministry families with pastors that everybody knew their name. And I wasn't. I was just some punk kid from Iowa who didn't belong there. And I remember sitting in the back, I think it was the second or third row to the back. And the pastor that day, or the preacher, was our faculty advisor for our class. And I remember him talking about ministry and our calling and the path in front of us being in Bible college. And he shared some stats with us. And I don't know the accuracy of the stats at the time. I have no idea, whether they were true or not. I assume they were. But I just remember him saying, out of all of you in this room, the 150 or so of us that were in the room, he said, out of all of you in this room, 10% of you will graduate from Bible college and go into ministry. 10%. So 150 of us, that meant 15 of us would go into ministry. And then he said, and 10 years from that point, only 30% of you will still be in ministry. And I remember sitting there, and I had no question in my mind that I was going to make it. I had no question in my mind that I was going to be one of that small percentage. But I remember looking around the room, looking around the chapel, looking around at the friends that I had already met and the people that I'd already gotten to know that first week. And I remember thinking all of us had dreams and aspirations, and we believed that God was going to use us to do great things, and we believed that God was going to change lives because of us, and he was going to, make a difference and use us to preach and save people's lives and counsel and whatever. We had all these great dreams and ambitions. And I remember thinking most of us would not see those come to pass. Most of us would not see those dreams become a reality. And it broke my heart. I remember just sitting there stunned and probably a little naive because I didn't come from a ministry background. I didn't realize the staggering numbers of how many pastors and ministry leaders didn't make it. And I just remember being broken in that moment and thinking, God, what do we need to do differently? How do we need to change this? How do we need to fix this problem? And in that moment, I remember God very clearly speaking to me. One of the handful of times that I can say without a shadow of a doubt, God spoke to me. And I remember him saying, Brandon, I'm going to use you to help pastors make it. And again, I was a freshman. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't belong there. And so I remember thinking, God, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to help? How am I going to be at all able to help pastors? I just want to be a youth pastor. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be a youth pastor. I want to go and help teens and students just, make it out of high school, knowing who God was. So when they went into college, they at least had some idea. But God had different plans. He had a different path for me, a different trajectory. And over the course of the last 25 years, it's become very apparent. I was a terrible youth pastor. I was youth pastor for about a year and a half, and I was really bad at it. And I remember being very defeated afterwards, thinking, God, what am I going to do now? And God reminded me, well, I've already told you what you're going to do. I've already told you what I want you to do. And so from that point on, after being a failed youth pastor and having no idea what was next, I realized I needed to prepare myself to help pastors at a very high level and to help pastors navigate the challenges of ministry and personal life and stress and anxiety and depression. I needed to be able to do that. And early on, I knew, early on I made the decision, it was very clear in my head that I never wanted my education to be a hindrance. I never wanted an opportunity to come my way and the answer be, oh, I'm sorry, you don't have the education, you're not skilled enough, you're not talented enough, you're not trained enough. And so that's what has compelled me over the years, to continue to work on my degrees and go to school and be educated. At the same time, I have been very blessed, not because of anything that I've done, but I've been very blessed along the way to work with some incredible pastors in churches that were, I worked in one church of 50 people, and I've worked in a couple of churches that were 3,500 plus. And I've been around pastors who were incredible veterans of the ministry, incredible men and women of God who have shaped me and challenged me and guided me and given me tons of wisdom and insight into ministry. And 25 years later, today, when I look back and I look at the path that God is taking me on, the education, the experience, the things that I've done, the things that I've seen, the people that I've known, and the people who've poured into me when I never really even asked for it. I appreciated it, but they didn't have to. I didn't deserve it. There was no reason for them to do it. I now know, 25 years later, looking back over that whole path, that God had prepared me to serve you. God had prepared me to do my best to help you do your best. Because the reality of today and what we're facing right now, post-COVID, post-modern, this crazy world that we live in where we're trying to figure out all kinds of different things, new technologies and new mindsets and new social norms. And we live in a very challenging time in ministry. And for a lot of pastors and a lot of ministry leaders, and maybe this is where you are today, you are frustrated, you're discouraged, you're overwhelmed, and maybe you're even thinking about, I'm done. Like, I just want to get out. And maybe that's where you are. Maybe that's even what God has for you. Maybe now is time that you step out of ministry. But I want to challenge you to make sure that's what God wants you to do. And it's not just the decision you feel like you have to make because you're just done. I believe there is a better way to do ministry. I believe that there is a way to do ministry that allows you to have freedom to spend time with your family, freedom to have a hobby, freedom to travel and see the world, and freedom to do the things that you want to do as well as do ministry. I know for me, I love ministry. I love, all the different positions that I've been in at churches. I have loved them. I've loved impacting people's lives. But at the same time, I love spending time with my family. I like hanging out with my boys. Right now is one of the best seasons of my life because I get to do this with you and I get to hang out with my boys during the day. We get to go swimming at the pool, or we get to go to the beach. We get to go fly kites. We get to do I get to spend time with my boys at a very young age, and I get to watch them grow up. It is the highlight of my life. I wouldn't trade that for ministry that took me away from them. And I get that the calling that we have is great and the need is great. I get all those things. But I just don't believe that God called us into ministry so that we would sacrifice everything and everyone in our lives. When I look at Paul had some really rough roads, some really rough paths, some really tough things that he went through. But when I read his letters and I read through the books in Scripture, I never get the sense that Paul regretted the path that he took. I never get the sense that Paul was like, man, this Jesus thing is just not worth it. I never get that sense. And I think it's because he lived the dream life that he wanted. He lived the dream life that he was made to live. I think sometimes we look at that and we say, oh, Paul really wished something else would have happened, but he found a way to make it okay in his mind and his heart. I don't think so. I think that he lived the dream life that God had called him to. Even with all the challenges and difficulties, and I know that great things only come through challenges and difficulties. But the problem is too many of us are going through challenges and difficulties and not seeing the great things on the back end. And I think it's because partially we live in this ministry machine that is demanding and relentless and is unforgiving, and we have created it. And I think there is a better way to do ministry. I think there is, dare I say, a way to do ministry where you don't even have to necessarily work 40 office hours a week. Now, I don't know how you approach ministry, but I know for me, in the years that I've been in ministry, I can be very productive and get a lot done, and I can have successful ministries, and I don't have to work 50, 60, 70 hours a week. I don't. And I don't think you do either. I think you feel maybe obligated to, you feel like you have to. I feel like maybe you are, you are running against the grind to try and get to where you think you need to be. And so that's why you do it. Maybe you just love it. Maybe you just love being in the office and being, at the church, and you just love putting 60 hours a week. Maybe. And if that's you, great. Continue to do that. But I think most of us, despite loving ministry, we love our families and we love our hobbies. We like relaxing. We like having some downtime. We like being able to sit and read a book just to read a book. We like to sit with our scriptures. That's not our devotional time. That's not preparation for sermons. We like to just sit and spend time with God. We like to go watch movies or go on hikes or go to the beach or travel somewhere that we've never been before or travel and see family. I just think there's a better way. And that's really what the Ministry Hacker brand, what Dream Life and Ministry is all about, is living ministry in that better way. The better way to do ministry, where people's lives are changed and God's kingdom advances and people come face to face with Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit is moving and active in the community of believers. But also where you get to have a life as well, where you get to reclaim your personal life, where you don't feel depressed and frustrated and anxious and overwhelmed, where you don't feel like you're on the verge of losing your family because you're putting so much into the ministry. I just think there's something unhealthy about that and something that isn't God-honoring. And so that's the birth of what the Dream Life and Ministry framework is and where we're going with the Dream Life and Ministry cohort. And so in a few days, it's going to open. And if you are saying, hey, I want more margin in my time, I want more margin in my finances, I want to see my ministry grow, if that's where you are, then I think you need to at least check it out. I think you need to at least see what it is. Because that's what we're going to do. We're going to come together as pastors and ministry leaders, people all over the country who are going to spend time together, challenging each other and encouraging each other and standing with one another and putting a virtual arm around each other from time to time and saying, hey, I'm with you. You're not on your own. You're not by yourself. You're not facing this solo. I am with you. And we're going to walk through the framework where I'm going to show you how you can build incredible teams that'll create margin in your time. How you can do engaging experiences where people love to come services. They come week after week. They come to your events. They come to whatever you're doing, not only because they have these great engaging experiences, but because they're encountering Jesus and they're spending time with him and they're going deeper in their relationship with him. And then you're also going to learn how you can create streams of income, even passive income, to where you don't have to spend a ton of time doing it. You just need to do the upfront work, set it aside, and then it'll run itself in the background. And you can pay off your school loans. I know for me, I have the education, I have the loans to go with it. And so you can pay off your school loans. You can save for retirement. You can save for your kids' college education. You can go on the trips that you've always wanted to, but never had the money to do it. Create margin in your time, create margin in your finances, and see your ministries grow. That's what we're going to do. And so if that is at all of interest to you, then I would encourage you. Number one, go to brandonpartycooper.com/free getaway and get on the list. And in a few days, when the doors open, it's going to be a one-time opportunity to get in to the cohort at the price that I'm offering, because you will be a founding member. You will be one of the first ones that raise your hand and say, yes, I want to join Brandon and all these pastors, and I want to change the way ministry is done. I want to live a better, more fulfilling, more satisfying lifestyle in ministry. I don't want to leave ministry. I want to stay in ministry. I just want it to look differently. You're going to be one of the first ones to raise your hand. And because of that, I'm giving you a special offer that is never going to happen again. It's only going to be for those who sign up this opening week. And after that, it's going to go away. And so go to brandonpartycooper.com/free getaway, get on the list, be ready when the doors open. Next week, when we open the doors and when everything begins to open up, you're going to get a lot more information. I'm going to share a lot more stories and background and what it all means. And I'm super excited. I can't tell you how excited I am, because not only have I been working on it for 6 months, but God has been preparing me for 25 years for this moment. And so I hope you join me. I hope you're a part, because I think it's going to be incredible. It's going to be fun. We're going to have lots of cool things that we're going to do along the way. I'm going to send you some stuff from time to time, and we're just going to change the way we do ministry. We're going to see God do great things in us and through us, and we're going to change our lives so we can change the lives of those around us. All righty? I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here in this episode. Keep your eye out for the next few days when the doors open, because I think it's going to be an opportunity you're not going to want to pass up. All right? Have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next episode.